Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at this thing. I recently found it for like $5 at a pawn shop, and at the time I did not know what it was, and it took me a minute to figure out exactly what it was. And even then I did not find it in an English source, so I figured it would be a great candidate for a video. So what we've got is a CETME C magazine pouch. And what we have here is two flap pouches with a brass button to hold each one, a belt loop on the back that goes across both pouches, and then a plastic integration with like web gear. It also has a thinner loop here. It's a very simple, very simplistic pouch. While it's pretty clear on Spanish militaria forums and such that they know exactly what this is, and it's a M67, I believe, CETME magazine pouch. This isn't something that I've ever seen or could find in specific English circles. This pouch holds two of the steel CETME C magazines. Now these are the essentially first generation G3 mags. Or you could say G3 mags are the second or third generation of these mags. They have a distinctively slight curve to them, but they are actually compatible with G3 or PTR 91 style rifles, and they're actually very available. A lot of the CETME stuff is available. The magazines, the bayonets, even, and like the parts kits, you know, these are like, I don't know, $100 or whatever. But the magazine pouches that are specifically listed as for the CETME rifles. So very often what we will see listed as CETME magazine pouches are actually either just straight up G3 German, you know, Bundeswehr pouches, which were for the aluminum or even steel G3 magazines. You'll see those. While they do work for CETME magazines, they are not original to the Spanish as far as I'm aware. The Spanish had a plethora of magazine pouches that they used for their CETME rifles, including early leather ones and later Spanish style or Spanish keeper style pouches that were just green. And they were similar to this. Those are actually pretty cool. They seem to be kind of a mix of these two, where it's two cells, but then this style of keeper. So those are pretty neat. But this is very often touted as being, you know, for specifically CETMEs, and it's definitely not. Similar other G3 style magazine pouches like this rubberized vinyl. This is also just German, and the actual vinyl pouches are also just German, as far as I'm aware. The other one that I have seen that I actually bought originally thinking that it was for a CETME rifle was this guy. It seems these are actually South American. I think it was maybe Colombian, and I think it was actually for their FALs. That may be totally wrong, but regardless, I don't think this is actually Spanish, and specifically not for the CETME rifles. So this similarly holds CETME rifle magazines fine, so it works, but there's lots of stuff that works, but there's only a few things that are actually correct. And so in English, what you usually find is either these, or this magazine pouch, or these, but none of those are actually Spanish. This is a good example of one of the specifically Spanish ones. Now this doesn't have any markings, but we can take a look at the details all the same. So we have two individual cells with a stitch in the middle, and we have just a regular cell. There's no pull tab or anything to make it easier to remove a magazine. It's just a void to hold the magazine. And they go in there okay, but honestly I can see why these are not great. They're just straight up cloth, and you know, they're okay, but they're not great. There's a flap here, and then this reinforced stitching down the entire length of this retaining tab, and then it just hooks onto this brass button that is riveted into the bottom of the magazine pouch. Let's see if we can get down in there. You can see down there, it's just riveted at the very bottom. Also, we have this double stitching across the back for the belt integration. And we have this plastic web gear integration. This is actually sewn on, so it doesn't appear to have been replaced, at least not without removing these stitches and redoing them. But that's interesting and a little bit different than I would have expected. But all in all, it seems like a pretty cheap, basic pouch. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Hopefully this was useful, and I'll see you next time.